So you know what happens into you when you walk into your home, right? But what happens when you walk into your soul?
Welcome to the show, Sanyika Street. I am so honored and excited to have you on here. As I mentioned to you, there's something about your energy. I just felt and said, I want to have a conversation with him. So, welcome to being here. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about who you are to the audience for anyone who doesn't know.
Hmm. Who am I?
Just a small question.
For sure. I am the essence of this king. I am a man. I am a husband. I am a father. I am a leader. I am a son. I am the one. I am the only person that I need to convert to achieve any possibility. I am a man that moves mountains, both expected and unexpected, to create extraordinary results. I am a believer and follower of Jesus Christ. I am many things. I could continue going on.
I think that gives everyone a good feel, you know?
Got it. And so
Yeah.
here's the thing. One other thing I wanted to add on this is that um, that question, "Who are you?" was one of the first questions I asked the men that come to work with me.
Mm,
And identifying who you are is not just an exercise in affirmation. Everything that I just stated to you, not only have I worked on it, I write it every day,
mm.
and I recite it to myself every day, so that when anyone asks me that question, or if I ask myself that question, I know who I am.
Mm. I have goosebumps all down my body. I can feel it.
Mm.
And at what point, there may be someone wondering, well, hey, I never even thought about that, right? And what led you to where you are now in really embracing who you are and speaking to it and embodying it?
Mm. Laura, the thing that led me to it was the fact um, that I could easily find the closet. Here's the thing. So you got a house, you got like a home, like a place where you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Place where you live, home, house, apartment, whatever you want to call it. Let's say you walk in through the front door, right?
Mm-hmm.
You walk into, like, I'm talking to you. You walk into the front door
Okay.
of your dwelling, wherever you live.
Okay. Okay.
To your left, what is to your left?
There is a wall with a mirror on it.
Wall with a mirror on it. To your right, what's there?
Just a wall.
Just a wall. What's in front of you?
Stairs. Two sets
Stairs.
of stairs, one up, one down.
Got it. One up, one down. Set of stairs, right? So you know what happens into you when you walk into your home, right? But what happens when you walk into your soul? What happens when you walk into your own mind?
Mm,
Do you know where you are? Do you know who you are? Can you find who you are in adversity the same way that you can find your coat when it's cold outside?
mm.
Do you know who you are when you're having a really turbulent conversation with your partner or with your children? Can you find yourself then as easily as you could find the umbrella if it's raining outside?
Right.
So the idea is that if your home has a blueprint, your home has a structure, how about you? Do you have a structure for you, a
Right.
model of the individual that you are? I'm not talking about affirmations. I'm not talking about pleasant things that you say to yourself. I'm talking about an internal fortitude about the individual that you are so that you can navigate through life. And most people don't have it, or they forsake it, or they put it aside because it's not really important. And what is important, right, is anything that satiates me. I used to live in a constant state of satiation, a constant state of coping, avoiding life, the feeling of life. So the satiation and the coping. So what is that? Well, I mean, that's everything, right? So, I mean, for many people, it exists as incessant scrolling on phone. It exists as You know, on the top level, it exists as simply just avoidance of feeling anything on a daily
Mm-hmm.
basis.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have a practice of actually just even being present with yourself. So you're always quote unquote busy or overwhelmed.
Right.
So being busy and overwhelmed are also forms of satiation or coping. So I'm busy, I'm overwhelmed, I'm on my phone, I'm in my food, I'm in my you know, my avoidance, I'm in my you know, then you get into the high level things like drugs, porn, alcohol,
Right.
whatever it is like that.
Right.
And again, this is not Puritan speak. I'm just talking to actual people who are listening to this because many of you just got finished doing one or the other before you listen to this podcast.
Very true. Very true.
And I used to be one of those people. So I used to be a person who lived in a constant state of satiation, who lived in those states. So I mean, I call it my rock bottom sandwich. You know, my I'll call it a rock bottom sandwich because I was at rock bottom, and rock bottom smashed on top of me. It's like an Oreo
So
cookie
the rock bottom's smashed on top of you at rock bottom.
at rock bottom. At rock, because some people go like, I was at rock bottom, right? You know, I
Right,
built
right, right.
myself at rock bottom.
Yeah.
But even at my rock bottom, I was already at rock bottom. So it
So
wasn't like I was like, it wasn't like I was recreating myself. I didn't create myself. You know, like, I mean, I've had some significant successes in my life. Look, I went from I moved out from DC to LA 18, almost 19 years ago to pursue acting. I did TV shows, national commercials. I was a writer on Universal Music Group. I was writing for bands like 98 Degrees and rappers like Too Short and all types of stuff. And I went from doing those things to literally getting 2 DUIs, having my girlfriend pay the bills, and then hiding in plain sight. And at 6'8", and my size, it's really hard to hide in plain
hard to
sight.
hide.
Really good job of it, you know. So the thing that happened is that I was living in that satiation. I was hiding in my life, you know. And they say everybody loves a good rock bottom story. Well, this is a rock bottom sandwich story, and for me, it was hell. And what I didn't realize is that it wasn't just me being at rock bottom. It was having uh, life and God was giving me the opportunity to really choose the initiation that I was being invited into. And it was like, do you want to choose it? Do you want to choose it? Do you want to choose it? And I was like, no, I don't know what that is. I don't, it doesn't make any sense. I just want to get out of this hell. And the guy's like, yo, do you want to choose this initiation? I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I just want to get out of this hell. And I keep on resisting and keep on resisting and keep on resisting. And it's like, do you understand that I'm giving you this as a means for you to actually step into becoming the person that you want to become? The only thing you have to do is voluntarily choose it.
Was there fear associated in that?
Every day.
Okay. Fear in running away from it, fear of choosing it, or both?
I mean, whichever way you want to put it.
No, I just wonder because you hear um, a lot of people talk about how scary it is, right? Whatever that next
Right.
level, stepping into who you are, connecting with a deeper part of who you are, whatever it is. And you hear people talk a lot about, but it's scary, right? And I've just wonder about that because my journey's a little bit different from yours in the sense that I was hiding from myself in trying to be what other people wanted me to be,
Mm.
right? So I think back and I think, what was I so afraid of,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so in your story, I'm hearing this, you're pushing away. I don't know if you were running away, but you certainly weren't. You weren't taking on the opportunity that was being presented.
Mm.
And I'm sure some people listening to the show can relate to that. But can you speak to a little bit more of why not? Why do you think you didn't choose it more quickly?
Mm. I think the reason I didn't choose it more quickly, um, just speaking to that specific word, is I didn't choose it more quickly because everything happens in right timing.
Right.
But I think that the reason that it didn't happen, you know, that it happened when it happened and everything that happened to transpire before it is because I was very much living um, from the neck up.
Mm. I can relate to that.
You know,
The
I
mind
know.
is so powerful, right?
Sure, for sure, for sure. It's like, and this is for the this part of our conversation is brought to you by the letter K for know it all. And look, I was a know-it-all. And the truth is that I was in the process of really, I didn't realize I was using that to avoid things, being an quote unquote intellectual.
Mhm.
And so knowing a lot of things was not an embodied experience. Here's the thing, you can't convince your body that it's not afraid intellectually.
Right. Right.
You
So
can't do that.
true.
That's not an intellectual thought.
Mm.
One must move through that physically. That's what an embodied experience is. That's when I say embodied, I'm not talking about like it's not like spiritual gobbledygook. It's like literally you live through your body,
Mhm.
right? Your body is the
Yeah.
mechanism that filters life's information.
Mm.
So my body is the way that I needed to move, and I was not connected to my body. I was not connected to that. It's funny. Before we came here, I'm just leaving the gym. Today is leg day, and as soon
Did
as I
you say
said leg,
light day? Leg
oh
day.
no, I said leg day. Yeah,
Okay.
today's leg day. So a lot of people just got like some like whoa, like like they got the visceral experience. And when I tell you, Laura, I used to be the CEO and founder of We Skip Leg Day Anonymous. Like we skip leg day
Why?
because that's the hardest day.
Right, it is.
That's the hardest day. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
I never did. I never worked out my legs. I never did.
What a
And in the
great
past,
metaphor.
right. And I never did that work. So I used to avoid that work by convincing myself that whenever I went to the gym with my random approach to lifting weights and doing all the stuff that I used to do, that was going to be enough. And then I would, whatever. But the reason why I was living in that kind of life is because I was not having an embodied experience. And so the reason why this, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up in the morning at 3:55 a.m. I'm in the gym by 4:30,
Whoa.
and every day I'm in the gym. And so the thing is that like it's not like like I'm not doing it to um as a like it's not like I'm doing it to win a trophy or like some
Right.
champion or some points or whatever like that.
Right. For
This is
external, it's not some external validation or congratulations, right?
I'm not trying to get a summer six pack. I'm not trying to get a six pack for the summer. You know,
Right.
this is my way of being.
Mhm.
This is my way of being. And so part of the shift for me was shifting from a really important distinction was shifting from being project oriented to process oriented.
Mm. Say a little bit more because that's something that's really something that I resonate with, right? Because I would say most of what is happening in the world is very project focused.
Hmm.
And I remember having a conversation one time when I was hitting my point of shifting, and I was realizing that it's the how that mattered to me,
Hmm.
right? And I'd love for you to say a little bit more because not everyone might not feel that distinction between the process and the project.
Yeah. Yeah. So project oriented meaning like single outcome focus, right? It's one of the reasons that entrepreneurs, sort of put their foot on the gas, take the foot off, put the foot on the gas, take the thing off. Because I'm going for the summer six pack, or I'm going for the six-figure launch, or whatever you want to, whatever. I'm
Right,
going for
right,
that thing, and and look, I'm not saying that you have a goal. That it's not good to have a goal.
right,
Everyone has goals. But what happens is that my goals became so what happens is many of us have these externalized goals.
right,
And so the external goal is I'm going to reach this objective, right? I'm going to reach this thing. I'm going to hit this mark. And then when you hit the mark, this is the thing that I didn't get in my life is that it wasn't about hitting the mark. It was about becoming the person that could hit any mark.
I love that.
It was about, so there's a becoming. So the goal was extrinsic. That what it shifted to was that now the goal was intrinsic. It's about who I become in the process. It's about who I am. So now if I'm all in on who I am, and I'm in a philosophy, in a way of being where I have objectives and I'm looking to reach, but it's more about who I am every day,
Right.
right? Showing up in this way every day. Then I go, oh, that's the goal. Because now I get to actually experience life, to live life. Now I'm not waiting for some objective that occurs at the end of this like project to really experience it. I'm experiencing it every day. Like when you asked me what my intentions were before we got on this call, I told you it was to be with what is, to really speak to what I feel is being called for me to serve, but I'm also here to, I'm also grateful.
Mm.
You know, I'm grateful for leg day. I'm grateful for, like, really, really grateful for. I'm really grateful for navigating through adversity. And I'm really grateful for being present with you in this conversation, because it's really critically important to be in this, to be focused on who I become on a daily basis.
Right. And you know what I think of as you describe that is when you're process oriented, it's about who you are, how you're showing up. It's all the internal aspects, right?
Mhm.
And we all have choices around that. We have the ability to choose how we do that. Whereas when it's external, some of it's out of our hands. And
Mm,
what I see a lot of times is when people are going toward that external, they start to get thrown off balance. They're not grounded because things
mhm.
can happen. We all know. You can have the
Yeah.
greatest goals and be working really hard, and all of things happen. Things don't go always according to plan. But when you're focused on the process, you actually, it's a responsibility. And I think that's a lot of what you speak to is the
Mhm.
responsibility piece. But it's
Yeah.
also, there's such incredible, you can build trust in yourself in how you show up, no
Mm.
matter what the results are, right?
No matter what the results are. So you just gave me tingles, in right now. Talked about the responsibility piece. I want to speak on the responsibility piece and the things being out of our control. You ever heard people say, like, you know, like some things are out of our control and some things are in our control, right? Uh, that statement makes it seem like it's 50-50.
Right.
It's more like 99-1. If you are listening to this, I just want to make it completely clear to you. You control freaks that are listening to this right now. All right. None of it's in your fucking control. You control what you control, meaning like within your awareness. Here's the thing: life is not in your control, number one. The existence of what happens around you, we operate on these assumed agreements. Like right now, I'm having a conversation with you in a structure, and I'm operating on an assumption that this thing won't collapse on me. We're naive. That's an assumption. This is out of my control. All right. There's animals, insects, everything that are coming in. They will bite you and stuff. There are millions of bacteria that are fighting battles on your skin at the present moment that you have no idea about. You control freaks. None of it's in your fucking control. You think you're moving the needle, you're not. Number one. Number two, for the conscious awareness people. Number two, as a result, the idea of conscious awareness, the majority of our existence is in our subconscious. So you're not even aware of your awareness. That even decreases the amount of control that you have in things, right? So now life is not in your control. Your awareness is not in your control. So what is in your control? Your ability to let fucking go. That's in your control. Your ability to move with an intention and then to let go. Move and let go. Move and let go.
What I love about that is when you say that, there's a sense of freedom. And I'm curious if when you're working with your clients, is that something that they sense as you work in these areas and talk about these areas?
That they sense what they sense what?
Freedom. There's a sense of freedom in that. You know, it's like if
Mm.
everything is out of my control, almost everything, then can I stop worrying about it, stressing about it, staying up at night about it? You know what I'm saying? Like there is a sense, if you embrace it, if you let go, as you say,
Right. Right.
there's an incredible freedom in that.
Yeah. My offering to that, and I'm glad you spoke on that, is that it's not just a sense of freedom, it is freedom.
Mm.
Uh, One of the primary values of them, I work with men, majority, right? I do have some women as clients, but the majority of men that people I work with are men. Um, and one of the primary values of the masculine is freedom. But one of the misconceptions about freedom is that acquisition equals freedom.
Mm.
So if I acquire more money, then
Then I'll
it
be free.
equates to freedom. Then I'll be free.
Oh, I
If
never
I,
thought about that. That's that is
so I need to acquire things to become free, bring on more,
right, right,
right? So more time
right,
freedom. If I
right,
get more time, then I'll be free.
right.
If I have more physical space, then I'll be free, right? Then I'll
I
be free.
have right. If I have more money,
If I have
then
more
I'll be
money,
free.
and
If I
then
have
I'll be free.
yeah,
All those things, time
yeah,
freedom, financial
yeah.
freedom, physical, quote unquote, space equating to freedom.
I'm curious, what about power?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the misconception around power, right? So if I have more power, then I'll be free.
Right.
But here's the thing that lies underneath the belly of the beast. All right.
This is
Um,
one of the things I love about you. You go deep.
Not
No one's getting away just on the surface, right? All
with
right.
me.
What's the
Look, y'all
all
gonna
right?
learn
What's
today. I'm just
uh,
tell you this. Look, um, it's not that you lack time. It's that you lack decisiveness. And you have a very weak no.
mm, mm,
Your no bench press is 12 and a half
mm.
pounds.
Oh, it's such a great point.
All right.
Yeah.
Your no is weak as shit, and you need to
Mm,
strengthen up
mm,
your no.
mm,
That's
mm,
number one. Number two, it's not that you don't have enough money, it's that you don't have a money philosophy.
mm.
You don't have a way of thinking about money. It's the philosophy and the way of thinking about money that will give you the opportunity to step into creating new possibilities. You will always hear, and myself included, that when I started making money, I started losing money. And I was like, why am I losing? Because I don't have a way of thinking about it.
Right. Because it's not the money.
Yeah,
It's not the money itself.
yeah. But I'm not gonna put words in your mouth. I'm not sure about this. I'll just ask you this. Have you ever woken up in the morning and had a dollar bill punch you in the face?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Okay. No, I have not. All right. So money is an inanimate object. So money ain't moving money, people move money. And the idea is that the people that move money have a way of thinking about money. And the way of thinking about money means that they explore the philosophy that governed the way that they were with money. But the thing about money is that money, look, I was talking to my son yesterday. Um, he had he had some cash, so he provided some cash so we could take care of something at the house. And then I had to go to the bank to get him some cash, right? And so it was like, I don't know, it was like 400 and something dollars or whatever like that. And he had the cash readily available. So he had to, I got, it was 430 and I got 20s, so, large bills in 20s. So I gave him 440 and he was supposed to give me 10. And then he put the 10 on the table. I said, no. I said, And then he said, what? I want to share something with you. And then when I said that to him, he goes into an instinctive response. He's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. We're going to talk about something or whatever like that. I said, then we'll put the money on the side and then we can wait until you're ready to have a conversation. And so his mom is there. And so she's like, mediating and everything. And I'm at that point, I said, look, and so he comes back. He says, what did I do wrong? I said, you didn't do anything wrong. I said, you just do what you do.
Mm,
I said, let me explain to you what happened. I was going to hand you this money that we owe you. And in this moment, when I handed you the money, you just slid a dollar bill that was folded on the table and you turned away and said, here. That's
mm,
not the way you handle money.
mm.
If you're going to hand me money, you will hold it out, you will open it, and then you will put it, and then you will hand it to me respectfully.
Mm.
You will not just throw it at. I said, how would you feel if I took this money and I just threw it on the floor at you? It brings up too much intimacy. It brings up an inability to receive.
Mm.
We're not talking about money. We're talking about his ability to receive. $430 means nothing to him. It
Boy,
doesn't mean it.
goosebumps. I never really thought about that. I love that. I love that.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so we're talking about his willingness to receive, to connect, to request, to be
Yeah.
in ownership of the way he moves.
Right.
So I'm gonna get to radical responsibility in this conversation about control. So now, so that's what we're talking about on the money side, right? We're
Well,
talking
right.
about,
And allowing that flow, right?
yeah,
Allowing that flow. Because if you just kind of crumple it down or just kind of leave it and walk away, you're actually not engaged in that receiving, giving. I love that.
he was not engaged.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you saying that he wasn't engaged in it. And many people don't engage with money.
Um,
They don't engage. They just have one night stands over and
and
over. And
much easier with all the apps that are available right now.
for sure, I just had a one night stand with my money. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
had a one night stand with my
Great
money. We
point.
went out, has whatever, felt good, and then it's like, oh, you have the hangover the next day.
Mm.
And the guilt. People live one night stand to one night stand to one night stand to one night stand to one night stand, and I'm like, look, you could be in a committed relationship.
I love that. And that actually circles right back to the responsibility piece,
Yeah.
right? Because with that responsibility, and I want to hear what you were going to say, but I think there's people get a little bit turned off by that word responsibility. At least I've noticed that. It's kind of like, ooh, well, I don't want to be responsible. But on the other side of that, or within it, whatever way you want to think,
Yeah.
there's amazing things. So radical responsibility. Let's hear more,
Yeah.
Sanyika.
Responsibility is a turnoff. Commitment is too for a lot of people. But a lot of people don't want to live an extraordinary life. Um, so this might be a good time if you don't want to live an extraordinary life to just turn this off.
Good point. If you haven't turned it off already, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good time. This is not a good conversation if you don't want to live an extraordinary life. I was just talking to a client the other day about radical responsibility. Here's the thing. People, talk about their rights. I want the right to feel this way, the right to do this, the right to do this. And as Jordan Peterson says, and you can feel however you want to feel about Jordan Peterson, but one of the things about him is that I love this. The philosophy is that he says, you can't talk about rights unless you talk about responsibility.
100%. Yeah.
He's like, because your rights are my responsibility. I completely agree with that. Your quote unquote freedoms, the things that you just want to run around and be Peter Pan. It's like there's a lot of Peter Pans and Patricia Pans that want to run around and be permanently young, right? And be permanently just able to, and I'm not talking about joy, I'm talking about young.
I understand.
The difference between, I'm saying this for everybody who's listening, there's a difference between being joyful about life and being naive, immature, unaware, and incapable of really approaching things from a level perspective. So the idea of radical responsibility is but when I first start working with somebody, I have them sign this document. It's called Becoming the CEO of My Life. It has
Love it.
5 core commitments in there: radical responsibility, definition, so integrity, radical responsibility, accountability, courage, and radical responsibility, alignment. So this is all in, stands for alignment and integrity, right? That's what it stands for.
I did not
So,
know that. And
yeah, so
alignment is one of my favorite words.
there you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And
Alignment
so
and integrity.
alignment and integrity, the 2 aspects of any high performing individual or organization. That's what it means to go all in. So what most people do is, and they don't understand what integrity is. They have a different definition of integrity, a different definition of alignment. And so when we're working together, I'm like, we're going to be on the same page. Alignment is when your beliefs, your values, and your mission all align. When your beliefs, your values, and your actions all align with your core values. That's alignment. Integrity is, this is the full definition of integrity. Now I get to radical responsibility, is honoring your word. Honoring your word includes keeping your word. And in the event that you are human, and I have in the document, it says, if you are reading this, that you do not do what you say that you are going to do, that you are honorable enough and accountable enough to acknowledge what you said, apologize if you caused any harm, and then create a new agreement to which you will commit to emphatically. That's the full definition that I have to remember. Everything that I just said to you, right? Radical responsibility is the first one, and it is that as it relates to the matter of my existence, I am the creator of my own experience. I am cause. So there's an idea, this concept. Lean in if you're listening. It's called cause in the matter. Cause in the matter. So what does cause in the matter means? It means that as it relates to my experience of the world, I am cause. So were I late for this meeting that we had, this podcast, like with the two words that people forget after the word because, right? They go, if I was late, they go, oh, because, traffic was blah, blah, blah. And because, my got into a partner with my partner because blah, 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 because she was blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Like, no. You got in a fight with your partner because I chose, because I felt, because I decided. Whether you knew it or not, you made a decision. And so cause means that that's the thing that's in your control, is your responsibility, right? So now what's in my control is my choosing on this. So now I go, okay, well, so because what, right? Because I was late, because I didn't appropriately, adequately address time.
Right.
Because I wasn't mindful of time, because I didn't respect the individual's time, or because I was not aware in terms of what it was going to take for me to do this. And so here's the reason why this is so important, is because if you want to live an extraordinary life, your responsibility has to be radical. It has to be more expansive than anyone else's responsibility. Because everyone else sees it as an obligation. Everyone else sees it as this the fucking thing I need to do. Look, in life, the responsibilities have never changed for hundreds of years. You got kids, you got living, you got safety, you got food, you got stuff. So what makes some people different than others is that they fucking choose it. That's the initiation. You choose it. You say, I'm taking it on. I will take this thing on. I'm going to take it on. I'm going to take on the responsibility that other people won't, because for me, I want to live an extraordinary life. I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to go to the gym, not out of obligation, not because I'm trying to win some battle on social media, because this is the person that I want to be.
Right.
I'm not going to take on, 3 kids and blame my kids because they didn't let me accomplish my dreams or whatever like that. I'm not going to do that shit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to live I love it. I love it, Lord. I love it. When people say, I want my kids to have a better life than me. If I'm telling you, if I could take off my earrings and my shoes, I would take off my earrings and my pearls and my shoes, and I would be ready to throw them at people. That is such a fucking cop-out. I want my kids to be.
I agree.
They're like, what they're basically saying is, you know what? I gave up on my life, so I want my kids to have a better life than me. I gave up on my dreams, so I want my kids to have a better life than me. That's bullshit. That's cop-out. That's diversion. Here's the thing. I want my kids to look at me and say, yo, my dad is fucking doing it.
My dad is awesome. My dad is awesome.
And he's living it up every day.
And for anyone listening, that doesn't mean that everything is perfect.
Nope.
The kids see through that. That's not what it is. Because I hear that a lot. Well, I don't want my, kid this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, if you're full in and you're living and you're taking radical responsibility, as you say, Sanyika, your kids know it. They know it. And the byproduct, if you don't, is when you say, I want my kids to have a better life. Well, what ends up happening most of the time, maybe all the time, is you're then living through their experiences.
Boom.
And then you're laying on all of your stuff onto your kids' experiences, which is not I mean, honestly, I don't think it's where it's initially coming from, but that's what ends up happening, right?
Yeah, it totally happens. I'm so glad that we're talking about this. That sentiment comes from a place of resignation from living.
Yeah.
So let me just ask this question. What's the checklist on whether or not my kid's life is better than mine? Please tell me.
Exactly.
What's the checklist? So from a market research perspective, for all the intellectuals that want to just go, I'm like, I don't
They go
understand why
data.
he's talking about this. Like, right? I don't understand why he's saying this. Look, please show me the quantitative, qualitative research that will equate to whether or
Mhm.
not my child has a better life than me. That's number one. Show me the checklist. Number two, they go, oh, my kid didn't have to go through abuse. My kid didn't have to go through violence. My kid didn't have to go through, all this torment that I went through in my life. I'm going to be brutal in this. Hey, guess what,
Right.
stupid? You survived. Why would you not want to teach your kid how to survive? You survived. Why
I'm
would you not want to teach your child how to be a survivor?
right.
You embody it. You made it through. Congratulations. You did it. Now impart it to your children.
I'm resonating with this so much because there is definitely a sense of wanting to protect, right? To protect the kids from what we went through, right? And boy, my children, they are amazing teachers. And one of the best lessons that I have learned from all three of them is they are on their own journey, and how arrogant it would be of me to
Mm,
assume that I know better than them what that journey is meant to look like.
mm,
My kids are older now, but that was big for me. And I
mm,
can say early on, I was doing my best as a parent, but I truly believe they came into my life to help me really honor every single person's journey, no matter what it looks like. Because I have my journey, you have your journey, and everyone has their unique journey. It's a big lesson,
mm,
because it might not look the way that a mom or a dad would want or hope for their child, but it's their journey. Let them have their journey, which is back to what you're saying. It's like, as they move through that, I've seen my kids move through some really intense stuff, and they're learning, and they're determined, right? Their souls are determined to learn. And I admire the strength that they have to move through and to do. But there's that mom part. There still is that little part. It's like, oh, could you do it a little differently? And then I check myself. It's not my decision. It's not my choice. It's not my life. I can love them and see their strengths and see their soul navigating their journey, but
mhm,
it's their journey.
mhm,
Which actually makes me think about that radical responsibility and parenting, right? Like, if we try to protect, if we're trying to, and by protect, look, it's different when you have a 1-year-old. There's a different kind of protection. I'm talking about it once they're teenagers and that you want to protect them from the world,
mhm,
but you're taking away their opportunity to have that radical responsibility.
mm. So I want to go. I want to go to the 1-year-old version of
Mhm.
us
Mhm.
in this, and this is such a really powerful point. The question is what does protect
Mm.
mean,
Right.
right?
Right.
What does it mean? To me, it's all about we can do the exact same thing and have a different come from. It's the come from that matters,
Mhm.
you know? It's
Mhm.
the come from that people can see through. It's the come from that people feel. Like, like the 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 I personally believe that in this world that an honorable man is a powerful man. You said one of the things about being powerful is being honorable, you know,
Mhm.
and we had a really interesting interaction. Look, I'm aware of what happens when I'm out in the world, like my interaction, like the way that people interact with me when I'm out in the world. I have a very different experience than most people have walking around the world. People come up to me and say all types of stuff. Doesn't really matter where I'm at. But they say stuff. And, we're at church the other day, and not the first time this happened, most likely not the last time it happened. And this older gentleman comes up to me in the middle of my conversation with my wife and my kids and pastor, and he says, "You're a powerful man."
Mhm.
So I receive what he says. I turn my attention and my focus to him. I said, "Thank you for coming up and saying hello." And I
Mhm.
received that statement. I said, "Can I ask you why you said it? Why you felt called to come and say that to me?" He said to me, he said, "I saw the way that you were he said, I just saw that how you were in church." He's like, the smile on your face, the way you were interacting with your kids, the way you interacted with your wife. He said, there was something about you that I felt really called to come up to you and just really connect with.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, Laura, is that, you know, I would have either categorized that as another version of myself. I would have categorized that as like blowing smoke up me, whatever like that.
Mhm.
He's trying to blow smoke up
Mhm.
at us or whatever like that. But really,
Discounted it somehow.
I would have discounted it
Right.
somehow. But in that process, what I would have been doing is discounting me and discounting him,
Right.
right? It was courageous of him to come up and say that. It was courageous of him to come up and have that interaction with me. And so the thing is that the come from was like, how can I connect and be present with him and not make this about me? You know?
Right.
So
Right.
when I'm approaching the 1-year-old version of my kids or whatever like that, I keep like, how do I operate in the highest level of my service?
Mhm.
Like, Lord, my service is not a social media trying to reach a million people's service.
I hear
Like,
you.
that's not my
I hear
service.
you.
My service is how can I positively impact and come from the place where I want the people in my life to have the most powerful experience of themselves. So that place that I came from with him is the same place that I come from when I interact with my son. And if I feel like I overstep or I extend or I go over and I'm too harsh or too critical, then I'll come back home and I'll say, look, you know, that's not the way that I wanted it to represent myself in this conversation. And he won't expect it. I'm doing it because this is the person that I choose to be.
Right.
Right.
Well,
So
hmm,
that come from becomes everything. So it's the way that I interact with my 3-year-old, it's the way that I interact with my 13-year-old, it's the way that I interact with my wife, it's the way that I interact with the guy at church, it's that come from, it's the way that I interact with a 1-year-old, the 21-year-old, an 11-year-old. It's all
mhm.
across the board because not only is that important in terms of the way that I serve, but it's also important in terms of the man that I choose to be. That's part of my process.
I was just going to say this brings us right back to the process piece, right?
Mhm.
Because it's the how, right? Because someone could say the same exact words that you said to that man, and it could be coming from a different place.
Mhm.
The how, the process of it, and you feel it. I'm super sensitive to energy, and when someone says something, and I feel something different, it's really it hits me. I notice it. There's a lack of alignment
Mhm.
between the words, the actions, and what the energy that it's coming from.
Mhm.
I really would love for you to share some about your, what do I call it? Do I call it a movie? The N word? Is
Oh,
it
the
a,
N
yeah, is it, do you, it's a short, how would you describe it?
I would say it's a
Like
film. It's
yeah,
a
film.
like a
Yeah,
mini film. I mean, look, I have a ton of uh, I release 5-minute films,
right.
that tell really important and powerful stories.
Yeah.
You know, and uh I use my ability to write spoken word, to perform spoken word, to perform rap as a component of my service, you know.
Well, I was thinking of it because when you shared the story about Powerful, the man
Mhm.
coming up to you at church, there's that comes through so strong in that film. It's
Mhm.
powerful. Like it's deep. It moves through and in. I suppose if someone's open to it, I suppose someone could be close to it, but if you're open to it.
Mhm.
And I'd love for you to share the why
Mhm.
of creating that.
Yeah. You know, I have this phrase I say that everybody gets the call, but everybody doesn't answer the phone. You know,
Mm.
like from a vet, like I love humans. I think that we are extra, and man, do we overcomplicate simple shit. We
I
overcomplicate
agree. I agree.
all the time.
Mm.
We make shit super, super
Well,
complicated.
we go into our head, we go into that mind, and boy, do we come up with a lot of words and a lot of ideas. Right?
Yeah, man. Like
A lot
really,
of distraction.
right, right. It's like, look, I'm like, the 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 thing I used to do is that for me, purpose, like there's a distinction between purpose and calling.
Mm.
And your purpose, like here's the complication, right? People go like, what is my purpose? I don't understand my purpose, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, look, man, your purpose is to create, to serve, to love, and to forgive. You got four things you're supposed to do on this planet. All right. Create, serve, love, forgive. Right. And forgive does not mean not necessarily like, I'm going to forgive you for the fact that you stole $1 from me when I was 12. To forgive meaning to let go.
Mm.
All right. Um, and so that's our ultimate purpose. So I call that the hand. We got the same thing, hand, right? You got a hand. Could you have a hand? Could you put
I
your
got a
hands up?
hand.
So you got a hand, right? So we both have hands. And um, can you hold up one finger? You got a fingerprint, right?
Mhm.
Your fingerprint is your calling.
Mm.
It's the thing that only you can do, right? That's your
I
calling.
agree. Yeah.
So the thing that you can do. Now, it may not be different than what I do. We may be both storytellers and do spoken word, but I just do it differently,
Right. Right.
right? So the thing is that so my calling is the thing that's on my heart that I feel that I translate or that I communicate in whatever way that I feel called to communicate it. That's my calling,
Mhm.
right?
Your unique fingerprint. Yeah.
My unique fingerprint. We can do the exact
Yeah.
same,
Yeah.
right? So the part of my calling is that God put me in the body of an NFL lineman, but God said, "Look, you're a communicator and a storyteller and an artist." You
Mm.
know, and so, yeah, I'm a leadership coach. I work with men. I help men to transform their lives, and I believe that a man who understands the tools to embody true masculine leadership literally creates a safer world. And I use art and storytelling to empower people to step into the time. And specifically, I speak directly to men, and I tell men how to step into their ultimate gift. I don't only speak to men, but but that
Mhm.
piece was about calling men forward.
Mm.
and and it was a call forward for men, and I spoke specifically to Black men from a place of radical responsibility for using the word nigga. And the idea is that there's this idea of a distinction between those two words, nigga and nigger, and everything like that. So my thought process on it um is that it's not, there's no benefit to it at all. There's no benefit to its use at all. There's zero benefit to its use at all. And here's the place of radical responsibility. But because Black people have opened up Pandora's box in using that word, now men across the world use it.
Mm.
It's not just a Black thing,
Right.
it's everywhere. It's like roaches
Huh.
everywhere, at scale on TikTok, at scale on YouTube, at scale. So there's an exponential factor associated with its use. Now you got the biggest video game companies in the world who are trying to regulate the use of this word in online gaming platforms, because now you got kids all over the world using it with each other.
Wow.
And trust me, none of them, like the majority of them, ain't black.
I, I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
So the
Mm,
thing is that it's something that affects everybody, because now you got all these
yeah.
kids running around saying it. And
Right.
and it just grows its scale. It's like Moore's law. It's just like expands and expands and expands and expands. And I'm like, look, man, somebody got to like calm this shit down. So for me, like that's where I spoke to it. I spoke to it from that
Yeah.
place. And it's really a call forward into creating a greater identity around that.
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. Here's the brass tacks on why people use it. It's subconscious. They're not aware of it, so they just say it, to say it. But they don't use the line in the piece that really spoke to it is, um, well, I mean, it's I start off the piece, my brothers. Before I get into any discussion, I'm taking a second to let you know that I love you. You are Earth's original peoples, capable of anything, your reflection, the essence of a king. That's why in this moment I am still conflicted, self-restricted from using a single word because of the pain it's inflicted. This word is a virus bubbling up inside us, a word that we reverse, but in reverse is where it guides us. And I guess that's what surprises me. That's why I'm triggered when I call it, when a brother who loves his brother is calling his brother a nigger. You called your brother a nigger. You called your brother a nigger. Would you call your mother a nigger? Nah, I didn't figure. And that's the line that is
Oh,
supposed to wake people up, because the idea is that like you wouldn't call your mom that,
right.
but you would call someone else that. So the question
Right.
is, why
Why?
would you call your mom that and you wouldn't? Because you don't understand why you even use it. So what people do is they go, oh, I'm using it because it's my right to use it.
Hmm.
Guess what? Your rights are my responsibility.
Mm, right.
The derivative impact associated with your use of that term is my responsibility. I have to take care of the collateral damage of the use of that word. I have to clean up your shit, sir,
Mm,
with my kids when they come home.
mm,
So I'm bringing it to the source and
yeah.
saying, look, man, you got to stand up on this. There's a greater possibility.
What I resonate the most with in that is you're not shying away from anything and you're really calling forth in a really powerful and beautiful. I don't know if everyone would say that. That's my experience of watching it. And I don't remember the exact words, but when you talk to the fact that words matter
Hmm.
is true in so many other areas as well, that we just don't think about it.
Hmm.
Back to the radical responsibility, right? Everything seems to be pulling back to that. How does it feel to put that out in the world?
It feels liberating.
Mm.
It feels liberating. It feels necessary. It feels necessary. I mean, look, liberating for me, necessary for my responsibility, because of my covenant. Like I told my son this the other day. I said, I'm responsible for you, but not to you.
Mm.
I am responsible for you, right? So I'm responsible for you, for the way that you show up in the world, for how I protect and govern the way that you move through the world. This is my 13-year-old, my bonus son. Bonus meaning that
Mm-hmm.
when I met my wife, she was 7.
Mm.
Um, but I'm not responsible to you. I'm responsible to God. So my marching orders come from a higher order.
Mm-hmm.
So my responsibility is to listen to the call God is calling me forth on, and to answer the phone when God calls. And here's the thing about purpose and calling that we didn't get to a second ago, is that you're being called to something greater than your current circumstances. Why would I want to live an extraordinary life? Well, not just because it's extraordinary, but because you are called to serve at that level. And here's the thing, the people don't answer the phone. But why would you answer the phone? It's coming from an unknown number. So you get this call from this unknown number, you know, multiple times over and over. Call, call, call. You're like, who's calling me? I don't understand that, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm getting this call. And then all of a sudden you get a call and you're like, okay, well, I got this call from, you know, this unknown number. And now you're like, hold up, I got this call. And then you get when you answer the phone finally, you're like, who is this? And then no answer. And then you get the assignment.
Mm.
So now I just got the assignment. So you're saying that I need to do this in my life, with my life, for this reason, and I have to take responsibility for it, and I don't know how it's going to positively benefit me, and I don't know how it's going to benefit my bank account, and I don't know if it's going to bring me the love of my life, and I don't know if it's going to make me get me in the best shape of my life. But you're telling me that these are the things that I need to be able to do, and this is not the current reality that I'm currently living in, or any reflection of what's currently happening in my life. So I need to trust you to do this thing that you're calling me to do. You must have lost your damn mind. You must have lost your damn mind. Why would I do that? There's no way. Why would I do that? Of course I wouldn't do that. No, I'm gonna go back to doing things I would normally. Hold up. Hold up. And then you go to sleep. And then you start dreaming. And then you start having nightmares. Is this possible?
Mm.
Is this what my life could actually be? Is this the impact that I could have in the world? Is this thing that has not occurred? Is this the thing that you're calling me to? I'm gonna need to give up some things. I'm gonna need to move some things out of the way. I'm going to need to shift some ways of operating and some ways of being. I'm going to need to know that it's not that I shouldn't do porn because I shouldn't do it. It's that it's not serving the greater mission. That drinking one day and then recovering the next day, losing 2 days is not supporting the mission. That the food is not supporting the mission. That yelling at my partner is not going to serve the mission, the vision, the impact that I'm here, that I just got called, that I just got told it was a possibility. I'm not going to, that any of those things, I'm not going to do it. And if I have a slip up, then I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole and stay there, but then I'm going to catch myself and then bring myself back because I am human, but I will bring myself back into integrity. And that is what I am here to call to do. And as a result of stepping into that, what God will then do is he will invite you out of your house. You will be invited to take one step out of your home, current home. And then God will burn down your home.
Very true.
And then tell you to watch it burn down. Don't cover your eyes. Don't hide from it. Watch it burn down. And while your immediate fixation is on the home that's being burnt down, the reason why is because God is reminding you that you don't need the old ways of being that kept you trapped in the prison that you used to be in. That old house was a prison, wasn't a home. And all God's asking you to do is to turn around and then see that there's a place 3 times bigger with a much better front yard and a pool in the back with a jacuzzi that's saying you can move this way. And you are being asked to trust and to take one step day by day in moving towards it. Not only so you can live there, but so that you can invite others over too.
Mm. Thank you. Powerful. Anyone listening who wants to know more about what you're doing in the world, how do they reach you?
The first thing that you do is just set a powerful intention on for right now within yourself that this is the moment for you to transform your life. And then you come to the awareness that that I only work with people that are with men that are um, really stepping into the next level of their service and their impact in the world, who really want to be the best husbands, fathers, and leaders that they want to be. Men that really want to double down on their family, their fitness, their finances, and their faith um, in order to achieve a greater sense of fulfillment. And if all those things are in check within you, to you, then you can reach out to me on Instagram at the All In CEO, or on Facebook, Sanyika the Firestarter Street, or you can go to theallinceo.com. So, but check in with yourself first. Men and women alike, check in with yourself first. I get a lot of outreach from women who are reaching out for their
Or their
husbands.
men. Yeah.
But check in with yourself first, and then check in with, with where you are, what you feel you're really being called to. And if you feel like you're really stepping into answering the call, my responsibility is to help you pick up the damn phone.
Love it. And is there anything else that you want to add, that you want to say to the audience that I didn't ask you about?
Is there anything else? Yeah, absolutely. I will
We could
just,
probably talk for a few hours, but I thought
for
before we
sure,
wrap up, I'll give you a chance.
What I will say, just in closing, is that um, I really feel like I feel really honored to just be present with you. And I really appreciate your, like, who you are, and you facilitating a really important and powerful conversation about just radical responsibility and calling, and just being radical in this, stepping into this. Like, this feels like a calling for you. It feels like home for you. It feels like a real comfortable place. And I'm just saying that as an extension of my work, to do, if you feel called to do more, then keep doing more. It's really fantastic. It's really, really great.
I receive that. Wow. Thank you. I appreciate you being here so much, Sanyika. I really appreciate you. Made me I'm feeling that. I'm feeling what you said. I'm receiving it. I appreciate what you're doing in the world, who you are, most importantly. So thank you.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Thanks for having me.